Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Thursday, November 30th. We're going to take a look at Salesforce today. So ticker symbol CRM, as you can see here in the news tab, had a bunch of good news catalysts today that brought it to a gap up of over 9%, which a stock of this price moving that much in a day is quite remarkable. But as you see, it's been on quite a big uptick since it was in the 190s down here not too many days ago, with some pretty big days in there, not just today. So I thought I'd come in and take a look. I put together a little chart here, and then we'll take a look at the think or swim study as well and call it a video. So first, most obvious thing to me is there is now this gap, which is the downside. So if it does turn back, even if it has a healthy retracement or something more, I would be watching these levels. It would get into this gap at 243.65, and it would fill it at 231.50. So who knows if or when that happens, but just to note, those are there. Now, the nearest in level that I see to the upside, 252.92. So sort of as it approaches 253, which, it's nice that it's not just a psychological level. So odd, but I grabbed that one by scrolling left, is my typical way to come up with these levels. Now to the downside of it does come fill that gap. So obviously to the downside, first things first, those gaps, they exist. And if it comes down and fills those, and who knows, bearish momentum takes over, whatever it is, if it comes down further, 218.35 is the level down that I see from there. Now, I'm not going to put it in because it's super steep, but it does have this really steep uptrend support that it's been holding for a while. If it comes in and puts together some sort of like consolidation motion or something, maybe I'll come and put that in if folks are interested, to see sort of, if it comes to bang into the uptrend support, what does it do when it reaches it? But until it gets closer in, I'm not going to put it there just so that it doesn't further clutter. Now, I did put an additional level that stretches up and above where it is currently. 270.16 is the level up there that I would look for. Now, you see we have this action back here, which is where I grabbed a bunch of these levels from, some from further back here. But you can sort of see, the price points there and where it was flipping from support to resistance, where it repeatedly found support and resistance at these levels. And so this is why, they were important. There was this previous gap here that it came down and filled relatively quickly. It left a gap here that it filled pretty quickly. So, there was a gap here as well, which was not filled very quickly at all. I don't think that, no, it didn't like immediately fill it here, but it lines up like with where the gap is today, interestingly enough. So, something sort of either just pure coincidence or some sort of voodoo around that 243-ish price point on CRM. So, okay, so that's the Weeble chart as I see it now. On the think or swim side of things, we're way out of the channel at this point. So we're sort of like, you look at these candles floating up here, way out of the upper bound of the channel. Let me see. You see what happened there, the nice healthy thing. This is sort of the healthy retracement that I'd look for if it comes down through, is coming down to test the mid-range of the channel. And then what does it do? It's still made many higher highs after that. So it has this big gap up, and then it immediately started to retrace back in, sort of fill the gap that it left, but it banged off of the mid-range of the channel and just pressed higher. And so even if you bought up here or on the way down, you pretty quickly made your money back if you held on to it through some of these turns. But throughout all of this, it never flipped the mid-range from support to resistance. It pinned itself to it sometimes, and it banged hard off of it sometimes, but it always flipped it right back to support and then continued on toward the upper bound of the channel. Now that changed over here, and it lost support and then came down out of the bottom bound of the channel, but it didn't spend much time there, relatively strong through all of this motion, jumped up and out, and then this is a bit of a roller coaster ride here. Now the TTM squeeze indicator at the end of that roller coaster ride started to trigger and then fired, and setting off that fire, so a really good call out by the TTM squeeze indicator, honestly, was like 195, and it's been firing this whole time now, and even without that jump, you could have rode that call out by the TTM squeeze indicator from 195 to about 230. So really impressive, not just for the stock, but good motion off of the indicator there, which they are not 100% for sure. So I do want to give them props when it does work out, but just know that sometimes it doesn't. So I'm interested to see what happens. This channel is going to stretch up really quickly. The mid-range is going to come up. The upper bounds is all in motion along with the candles. So these are going to stretch up. So at some point, these worlds are going to collide again. So I'm interested to see what happens then. Is it able to ride the green wave cloud, like showing really strong support like you saw here basically, right? It was out of the channel, came in, and it just rode that wave cloud as support. So it didn't even need to come down and press the mid-range of the channel, indicating that the bulls really had a strong grip on this. There was more bullish momentum to play out. And we're certainly seeing the effects of that today. So huge jump. Question is, are folks going to still want to ride this? Are folks going to, by and large, want to lock in profit? See where the dust settles? Who knows? But these are sort of the things that I'll be looking for in the next few days and weeks. The collision with the channel, to me, is going to be more interesting than even my Weeble chart. Usually I'm inverse of that, but it's stretched so far out that we get a little bit into no man's land here, and so it can be easier to just sort of see how it sort of approaches and what it does when it begins to interact with the channel. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week has been going well, and as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.